Story 1. Not me, but my dad. It was a hot summer day and he was mowing the lawn, drenched in sweat. We went to 7-Eleven for Slurpees and brought him one. It was hot, so it kind of melted some, making it really easy to drink but still icy. He drank almost all of it in one gulp, then proceeded to have the worst brain freeze ever. It's been 30 years and he hasn't had another one. Story 2. Chicken feet. I am, generally speaking, a very adventurous person who will try anything once, food or otherwise. I was at a very well-regarded dim sum restaurant in Seattle, going to town on the menu, and the chicken feet were very disappointing. They weren't spit it out gross, but rather, why am I continuing to eat this with so many other wonderful options? It was like eating a chicken wing with all the meat already gone. Just skin and gristle and tendons. Glad I tried it. No more, thank you. Story 3. When I was in the Philippines, I was convinced to try this egg with a partially formed chicken side. Supposed to slurp that down like an oyster. Did it once by trying to channel my inner Bourdain. Midway through, I was also ready to hang myself. Story 4. Liver has a really weird, rubbery, grainy texture that I really didn't like, and the flavor was pretty gross as well. Not for me. I also have the gene that makes cilantro taste like soap, so get that off my food. Story 5. About 10 years ago, I was stuck at a flea market for hours. I was starving, so I bought a pink hot dog from a random guy going through the rows of sellers with a cart. I took one bite and nothing tasted, felt, or smelled like a regular hot dog. The guy didn't speak English, so I have no idea what I ate that day. I'll never again in my life buy or eat a hot dog from a random flea market cart. Story 6. Grilled chicken from Wendy's. I got one that was 50% gristle one day. Worst bite of my life, and I was immediately sick. As soon as I handed it to them, they rushed it into the back. The manager came out, apologized, and offered me another one. It's been 25 years. I can still taste the disgustingness. Story 7. Okra. I like vegetables, but forget okra. If the only way to make it mildly palatable is battered and deep-fried, then I'd rather go for some roasted broccoli or Brussels sprouts, which are actually tasty and not just tolerable. Story 8. Seal/sea lion. There's a swampy taste that lingers. I gave it more than one chance, as one does with new foods. It could be the preparation you don't like. But no, that weird still lake algae kind of taste is a no. Story 9. Shrimp. I ate a pound of them once and realized I am actually allergic to the type of shrimp I had. So now, I cannot eat any shrimp or shellfish because I will get ill. Story 10. Capybara meat. I was told it is a kind of animal just like a pig in Argentina. It turned out they are nothing like pigs. And I love these creatures with every inch of my heart now. Story 11. Raw oysters. Went on a Carnival cruise, and my family and I got a reservation at one of the fancy dinner experiences on board. One of the appetizers was raw oysters. My mom had been wanting me to try them since it's one of her favorite things to eat at seafood restaurants. I ordered the oysters and they came on this awesome-looking tray. Tried one, and it tasted like someone had fed me a handful of ash from a used grill. Promptly fought the urge to vomit. Spat it out in a napkin. Told my mom how it tasted and she tried one. And I heard the gag from across the table. She also spat it out. I think this specific restaurant has a certain way of preparing them because she told me they taste way better at other places she's been to. Still, it was my first time, and it made me never want to try oysters again. Fried oysters are so good though. Story 12. Uni or sea urchin. I was in Japan, and one of my Japanese friends recommended I try sea urchin. Tasted terrible, but I didn't want to come off as rude, so I ate it, which was hard because I couldn't stop gagging. After I finished, my friend tried the second piece and immediately spit it out, saying it was the most rancid piece of uni she's ever had. After that experience, I don't think I would ever want to try sea urchin again, even if it was actually fresh. Story 13. I've got two. Weisswurst, a German white sausage. I love sausages, but this one was so fine that it felt like I was biting into nothing. There was no crunch, and it had the consistency of a raw Vienna sausage. I'm not usually a person who cares about mouthfeel, but I just had to give this one up. Chilled pea soup. I was served this when I went to a butler cafe in Japan. I dislike peas, and I'm not the biggest fan of cold soups. However, I thought it would be rude not to eat, so I ate the whole bowl. Story 14. Stinky tofu in Taiwan. I thought I could handle it being as I'm Chinese, but wow, I had to spit it out. Fermented shark in Iceland. My friend described it as a mercury bomb in your mouth. Also, we had a note about a friend's mink whale steak. The texture was too off-putting. I thought South Korea's habit of coating sugar on corn dogs was very strange. Story 15. Sweetbreads. Very deceiving name. Just to clarify, the restaurant was great, and we enjoyed most everything, but were kind of surprised to learn what it was. Story 16. Hot Pockets. About 20 years ago, I ate a cheesesteak Hot Pocket at my then-girlfriend's house and vomited all over the bathroom, and I had to stay the night. Never again will I eat a Hot Pocket. Story 17. One time my boss offered me half a hard-boiled egg with yellow sauce and caviar on it, and I didn't want to be rude, so I ate it. I will be rude if this offer is ever made again. Story 18. When I was about 8 or 9, my dad went through this phase where he would try strange things he found at the store. One day, it was fried oysters from a can. The texture was so disgusting I immediately spit it out, and then my dad yelled at me for not giving it a real try. I tried again and felt a little sick. Since it was the 1990s, I got spanked and sent to bed hungry for being dramatic. So I do not like oysters much. Story 19. Kali pakhe in Iran is a lamb head cooked with its feet. It smelled like a slaughterhouse. Actually, I think it has the entrails too. Just no, never again. Story 20. University. I've had it twice. I hated it the first time. The second time was at a very upscale Japanese restaurant, as part of a 12-course small bites tasting menu. I figured if I would ever enjoy university, this place probably knew what they were doing. One bite and I regretted it. The taste lingers and actually ruined the rest of the meal for me. Tastes like fish rotting in low tide. Story 21. Vegemite. My 7th grade teacher was from Australia, and he brought in a jar for us to try. I think only a few of us tried it. I did not enjoy it. It was very salty and bitter. Story 22. I spent 2 weeks in India a few years ago and I loved all the food except one thing. There was a white sauce, kind of with the consistency of ranch dressing. It was awful and I hated it. I think it was some kind of coriander thing. I also had rat in West Africa. Rubbery and awful. Story 23. Arby's curly fries. Used to love them. Then I got pregnant. The baby did not love them. I was so violently ill that as I was vomiting them back up, it came out of my mouth and nose. That's not a taste or sensation you ever forget. Never again. Story 24. My country-ass parents fed us pork brains mixed with scrambled eggs for breakfast when we were kids. It was purplish. Seemed okay then, but a big hell to the no. Now, story 25. Liver. I couldn't even get it down the first time I ate it. I had a major gag reflex when it hit my mouth. Oh, and tequila sunrises. College. Just saying. Story 26. Celery smoothie. My mother used to make me drink a smoothie with celery, half an apple, ginger, and water all blended up to lose weight as a child. It was absolutely disgusting and I had to drink it twice a day. I believe that is the reason I hate ginger to this day. Story 27. Uni. The flavor was bizarre and the texture even more so. Salty, oceany, smoky, a little grainy and slimy. It wasn't the most disgusting thing I've ever had, but I definitely don't need to try it again. In the same breath, though, I figured out I love salmon roe. Story 28. Haha. I dare say 90% of what's mentioned in this comment I find acceptable. Some are even my favorite. But then again, I'm Chinese living in Asia. What's there not to like? Story 29. Had a Pizza Hut pizza when I was 15 at my friend's house and was puking my guts out for a couple of days afterward. And I haven't had another Pizza Hut pizza in 11 years and will never eat there again. I realized it was probably an isolated incident, but it flipped a switch in my brain, and now I can't bring myself to have Pizza Hut anymore. Story 30. In some places in Brazil, it's quite common to eat a goat's gut. It is absolutely horrible. Everything about it, the smell, the texture, and the taste. I'd rather starve to death than eat that almost literal shit again. Story 31. Lobster, crab, prawn, crayfish, and the like. I discovered that I am dangerously allergic to them when I was in my teens. I can never and will never want to eat them again. Story 32. Mango sticky rice. I had it at a wonderful Thai food restaurant. I'm a fairly picky eater and found everything delicious until that dessert. I hated every bite I took. It was so confusing to my palate. Never again. Story 33. That expensive raw meat tartare, I think. But I like kitpho, a raw Ethiopian meat dish. I figured I'd like this, but it's the worst thing I've ever had. Story 34. Squid. I do not understand why people eat it. It has no flavor. Sure, you can season it, but then you are eating seasoned rubber. I cannot comprehend why people willingly eat squid. What joy do you get out of it? Story 35. Those veggie McNuggets from McDonald's. They are supposed to taste like chicken McNuggets except made from vegetables, and they did. Except they tasted so much like the real thing that I would rather just buy, well, the real thing. Story 36. Wild boar. You would think it would taste like a gamey pork, but you would be wrong. Back when wild boar were a relatively new menace, my grandpa brought some back from Texas. It was tougher with an awful gamey taste. No matter if we smoked it or put it in a stew, that flavor ruins it and it's tough as leather. I have been a hunter my whole life and I don't mind the gamey flavor, but massive wild boars are on a whole other level. The 1-year-old smaller ones aren't bad, though. Story 37. Meatloaf. When I was 12, I had a friend over for a sleepover who previously had a really bad gastrointestinal infection, but I didn't care and had him over anyway. After he left, I had meatloaf for dinner and woke up at 3 in the morning and threw up meatloaf all over my bed. Story 38. Cannot think of food off the top of my head, but organic carrot juice tastes really awful. Maybe it was the specific brand, but I have not had it for 10 to 15 years, so I do not know. Oh yeah, I just thought of food. Honey garlic chicken from an Asian fusion place. I do not know why I thought it would taste good. The flavors contrasted, and it was unpleasant, and I could not even get close to finishing it. Story 39. Was told wasabi peas were a great snack. Bought a container and was excited to try it. Ate one, gagged in disgust, and threw the rest away. I'm not sure why I thought I might like them, but never again. Story 40. Cow tongue. The seasoning on it the first time I had it was absolutely delicious, but the texture was like making out with a cow. Even super thin sliced and peeled or whatever, I can't stand the texture and it makes me gag. Story 41. Elderberry. I had elderberry syrup and ran to the bathroom and vomited quickly afterward. Probably an allergy. Vegetable burgers with cheese inside. One of my older brothers tried to get me to eat one and wouldn't let me leave the table until I finished it. I waited for what felt like an eternity at the table until my parents returned. Never ever having another vegetable burger. Okra is so slimy. Chayote has nearly no taste to it, and marination doesn't do much, so it tastes like I'm eating two different things at the same time. Story 42. Chicken kidney or liver, I forgot which one it is. It tastes like sand and powder mixed together. I gagged. It's a delicate taste that I could not acquire. Story 43. Corn out of the can. Back in the day, I would stock cans of food in case I go broke so that I can make a chili for sustenance. Went broke. Couldn't make a sandwich for lunch break. Instead, brought the can of corn to eat with a spoon. I hated every second of it. Story 44. I have never had it, but I do know a number of Chinese and Taiwanese people who eat it as a cheap snack. Heavily flavored, but not very nutritious. I would be disappointed if I had it at a proper restaurant. Story 45. Natto, also known as snot beans, is a Japanese dish with a distinctive odor, somewhat akin to a pungent aged cheese. Stirring natto produces many sticky strings. Many find the taste unpleasant and smelly, while others relish it as a delicacy. Hard nope for me. Story 46. Century egg. It's a fermented hard-boiled egg, and the white becomes a jelly. There's a common dish with tofu, sauce, and a century egg. One time, I tried just going in and eating half of the egg all at once. It made me gag. Story 47. When I was 6, my mom made me drink tomato juice when I was nauseous. I vomited tomato juice, and it was so disgusting that I have never even considered drinking it again. Sadly, including Bloody Marys, I just can't. Story 48. Anything chicken-related at Burger King. 2 separate times I was served raw chicken, literally pink. When I went to show the cashiers, they told me it was supposed to be like that. I had the runs both times. Story 49. Ostrich brain. I had it at a friend's restaurant. It was served thinly sliced over a sliver of orange on a rye cracker. I'm glad I tried it. It was so rich, but that box is ticked. Never again. Story 50. I think octopus outside of takoyaki. I had some baby octopus at an Asian buffet and chewing took forever. I was worried I was gonna gag before I got it down. I love takoyaki though. Also okra. Story 51. I cannot set foot in a Logan's Roadhouse anymore. I got food poisoning so bad, I had to get a shot to stop the constant vomiting. I ruptured blood vessels in my eyes and was down for the count for days afterward. It was horrific. Just typing the name makes my stomach churn. Story 52. So many foods in this thread I find delicious. Laughing my ass off. For me it's bell peppers. God, I hate them so much. They're disgusting. Maybe not never, but egg salad. I actually love egg salad, but in high school, my mother made my lunch and missed a piece of shell once, and the surprising texture nearly made me vomit. It took until 2020 to try egg salad again after university, and the same thing happened. I just can't without thinking of the surprise crunch and sensation of grit in my teeth. A shame because it really is delicious. Story 53. I forget the name of it, but in Taiwan, I was talked into trying this stuff that was tofu covered in vegetables and water and left in the sun to rot. Or that's how someone with not very good English explained it to me. I can't really remember what it tasted like because the smell was overpowering and revolting. Edit. I think stinky tofu is what I tried.